My envious sister and mom tried to sabotage my wedding to my affluent husband by claiming my sister was pregnant with his child and deserved to marry him instead. So I did some digging and invited a special guest to my wedding, handed him the mic, and everyone burst into laughter when they found out who the real baby daddy was. Hi, guys. So I'm in a bit of trouble with my mother and sister right now because of something that took place 2 days back, and I have received a lot of unexpected flack for it. I just need some reassurance that I'm not the bad guy here because I feel like people are messing with my head right now. I have not had any contact with the two of them for the past 4 years after my father passed away because even when I was younger, my mother always had a favorite, and it was my sister. Once I graduated high school and moved out for college, I never saw the point of trying to maintain a relationship with them because both my mother and sister had always been very mean to me growing up. The only time I would go back home was when I wanted to meet my dad. And after he passed away from a cardiac arrest, I didn't have any reason to stay in touch with my mom or my sister anymore, so I cut them out of my life. It was a good riddance for me, and I can't say that they were any worse off for it either. About a year after that, I started dating my now fiancé. And after 3 years of dating, we got engaged a few months back. We didn't announce the engagement until a few weeks ago, but as soon as we did, my mom and my sister reached out to me and I know exactly why they did that. The truth is that they are jealous because my fiancé happens to be the CFO of his dad's company which owns an extremely successful IT firm. My fiancé is going to inherit the company once his father retires, and regardless of that, I'm still marrying into a pretty affluent family. This has never made a difference to me since I love my fiancé for who he is, not for his money, but I can't say the same for my sister. A couple of days after we announced our engagement on social media and sent out the invitations to our wedding, my mother and my sister came out of nowhere and sent me an email saying that we needed to meet them urgently. I was too busy, so I just invited them over to our place. And thankfully, they showed up at a time when both my fiancé and I were at home. This incident took place several weeks ago. And when they had reached out to me, I thought that they were going to apologize for their past behavior and try to make things right with me now that I was marrying into a rich family. So they obviously wanted me on their side. Instead, when they showed up, they started blackmailing us and told us that my sister was currently pregnant, and she had good reason to believe that she was pregnant with my fiancé's child. And if I didn't step aside and allow her to marry him, she would expose him to the world. I instantly knew that it was a load of BS and she was definitely not pregnant with his baby. I was even doubting whether she was pregnant at all in the first place until my mother showed me some reports and she wasn't showing yet, but she was quite a few weeks pregnant. But she had no proof that the baby belonged to my fiancé, and she refused to get a paternity test. So I told her that she could lie all she wanted, but that was not going to change the truth. And I know for a fact that my fiancé had always been faithful to me. I wasn't scared because I knew that he hadn't done anything, but then my mom and my sister told me that it didn't matter if the baby was actually his or not. They only needed to imply that something like this was going on, and if they posted it on social media, the word of this scandal would spread like wildfire, and it would ruin our reputation. So that made me realize that even if they did not have any proof, it would not be difficult for them to come up with fake screenshots and stuff. And if they posted it on social media, people would definitely run with it before even verifying how real any of it was and whether we liked it or not. It would definitely impact his family's reputation since people love scandals and rumors like this. But at the time, my fiancé didn't care, and he was just furious that they had been trying to blackmail him. So he started shouting at them to get out of our house and got them to leave. Only I knew that it wasn't over just because they had left since after she went away. My sister sent me another email saying that I still had time to change my fiancé's mind and make him see sense because it would take a whole trial to prove anything, and that was enough for them to drag his reputation through the mud. I was not scared. I knew that she had nothing on us and this was just a desperate attempt to get attention or maybe money. But I also did not want her to post anything, so I told my fiancé to cool down for a bit because I had a much better idea to deal with rather than taking this to court and going public with it. After some discussion, I got him to agree that he would not contact his lawyer and we would deal with things my way because this was my mother and sister that we were talking about and I wanted to do more damage than just take them to court. If we did that, they were bound to go public and eventually I knew that we would have to come to an out-of-court settlement because my father-in-law wouldn't want this to go on for too long since something like this was going to get media attention, and negative publicity for the company is not something that would go down well with him. So he would try to get it over as quickly as he could. I explained all of this to my fiancé, and eventually, he understood what I was getting at. If we wanted to teach them a lesson, we have much better ways to do it without putting our reputation at stake. I had figured out that if she was genuinely pregnant, then there had to be somebody who had actually gotten her pregnant. So the only thing that I had to do was track this person down. It took me a few weeks, and I had to dig a lot deeper than I thought I would have to since this had been quite a well-kept secret. But, eventually, I was able to find out who the real father of the baby was, and I'll get to that soon enough. All I had to do was hold my mother and my sister off for those few weeks and buy myself and my fiancé some time so that I could plan something big. I was really mad that even after 4 years of no contact, they were still coming after me for no reason, but I had figured out that they only wanted to take my place because they were desperate for money. I had asked around and learned that my mom and my sister had been living quite extravagantly for the past couple of years and had managed to quickly burn through most of the money that my father had left for them. My sister had even developed a gambling addiction 2 years ago, and because of that, they had had to sell our house and move into a small apartment. So naturally, it made sense why they were so jealous of me and wanted to blackmail me so I would pay them off to keep them quiet because, obviously, I was not going to allow her to take my place in the wedding since that was just absurd. I guess they didn't think things through, and so I was able to find out the truth. And then I decided to invite all her friends and a couple of our family members to an event that I had hosted 2 days back for the big reveal. Her plan had been to humiliate me and my fiancé and try to ruin our reputation so that she would get what she wanted, and now it was my turn to give her a taste of her own medicine. I had emailed her a couple of days back telling her that if what she was saying was true, then I didn't want to get married to this guy anyway, and I had decided that she was going to take my place in the wedding. Obviously, she couldn't believe it because she hadn't expected me to agree, and she called me up after that to talk me out of it, telling me that she would accept child support until her baby turned 18, but I didn't actually have to give up my relationship with my fiancé because she knew that we loved each other and she was willing to stay away. But I told her that I had already sent her a wedding gown and she was going to show up at my wedding because she deserved this. She couldn't even talk her way out of it because then she would have to admit the truth that she had been bluffing about the baby being my fiancé and then her entire plan would fall through. So she agreed probably because she thought that it was a win-win situation since she was getting to marry a rich guy anyway and she was going to be well taken care of.